Welcome to episode 3 of our podcast, Veil of the Unknown. You've shared some really fascinating material with us today. It focuses on this recurring and honestly pretty unsettling motif, reflections.
Right, reflections.
Specifically how, seemingly ordinary mirrors and other reflective surfaces seem to get tangled up with all the strange phenomena we're exploring here.
Indeed. And the sources you've pulled together, from Dr. Carter's chilling journal entry to historical accounts, even modern incidents, they really paint a compelling picture.
Yeah.
A picture where mirrors are, more than just passive things reflecting light.
So for you, the learner, our mission, let's say, in this episode is to really try and understand this sinister connection. We want to unpack why reflections seem to kind of amplify the veil's influence. What do these experiences actually look like? And maybe what might be happening on the other side, if anything.
Exactly. We'll be looking at personal accounts, people describing distorted reflections, this strange compulsion some feel to actually interact with them, and that recurring theme, of alternate realities glimpsed just through the glass. It's quite a journey into a world where the familiar can suddenly become deeply, deeply unsettling.
Okay, let's start with Dr. Carter. Her journal entry from Incident Report, #027-A.
Yeah.
It really just throws us right into the thick of it. The immediacy is, quite jarring.
It really is.
What struck you most about her account?
Well, I think it's the rapid descent. How quickly her reflection seems to become autonomous and threatening. That's key.
Autonomous, yeah.
And the whispers actually coming from the reflection itself, urging her to cross over. It just highlights the veil's direct and, potentially manipulative influence through this specific medium.
And that ending, so abrupt, the shattering glass, the scream, it leaves such a powerful and frankly disturbing image.
It really does.
It suggests a violent end to that encounter.
A violent culmination, definitely. And it leaves so much unanswered, doesn't it? Was she trying to break it, or did it break?
Right, exactly. Now, the pasted text material you share, it explicitly says the veil's presence isn't just some physical curtain, but it's strongly linked to reflective surfaces. Why do you think that amplification happens? Why reflections?
Well, the text posits that these surfaces act as conduits.
Conduits, okay.
Yeah, which suggests some kind of focusing effect, maybe. Or intensifying, drawing witnesses, perhaps unwillingly, into the veil's influence.
So it makes you wonder, is it the reflective nature itself that's significant? Or are these surfaces just, convenient places for this stuff to happen?
That's a great question. Is it the visual mimicry, the boundary aspect, or something else entirely about the physics of reflection? The text doesn't fully specify, but the connection is clear.
And it's fascinating how deep this goes historically, right? This isn't some new fear.
Not at all.
The text mentions beliefs from ancient China, European folklore. Superstitions about mirrors are everywhere.
Absolutely everywhere.
What connections can we draw between those ancient fears and what people like Dr. Carter are reporting now?
Well, the consistent theme is mirrors as gateways, thresholds maybe, to the spiritual world, the unseen. Whether it's warding off evil spirits or trapping them, these beliefs, they hint at this long-standing human intuition maybe. A sense that reflections can, transcend the ordinary. And that story of Edith Mayfield, Victorian England, vanishing after seeing a better life in her mirror.
Wow.
It just echoes Dr. Carter's experience, but also introduces this seductive aspect, doesn't it? The lure of the veil.
And the detail about the mirror being shattered in Edith's case, too, with no explanation.
Right.
That really mirrors, forgive the pun, the end of Dr. Carter's entry. Is this shattering thing a recurring motif in these encounters?
It certainly seems to be. It pops up again and again, Dr. Carter, Edith Mayfield. It could signify perhaps a violent break, either forced by the person or maybe a consequence of the interaction itself, like the strain is too much for the physical object. Interesting, the lack of explanation just adds to the mystery, suggesting forces beyond our usual understanding.
Okay, let's move to the field notes. The mirror incident from 1998, the Harper family. This one's particularly chilling because it involves a child disappearing.
It is deeply disturbing.
Can you walk us through the escalation? What did they report happening?
Yeah, the progression there is quite methodical almost. It starts subtly. Visual anomalies, seeing someone else briefly in the mirror.
Okay.
Then it escalates to auditory hallucinations. Whispers, specifically calling the son's name, seemingly from the mirror.
Oh, wow.
This intensification over time, it could suggest the veil sort of probing, testing its influence.
Finding a way in.
Exactly. And the son's description, seeing someone happier, freer in the mirror, that aligns perfectly with this idea of the veil exploiting desires, vulnerabilities, offering an escape.
The same pattern as Edith Mayfield, in a way.
Precisely. And then, again, the cracked mirror and the boy gone. It just powerfully reinforces this link between reflective surfaces and these deeply unsettling events.
And the detail the investigators found, symbols associated with the whispering veil actually etched onto the mirror frame.
Crucial detail. Absolutely crucial.
That shifts things, doesn't it? It suggests this isn't just random phenomena anymore.
Exactly. It points towards, it strongly suggests a direct connection, maybe even intentionality. Were these surfaces somehow prepared, marked?
That adds a whole other layer of, well, creepiness.
A much more sinister dimension, yes.
Now, the text also touches on the psychology of it all. Suggests mirrors tap into some really primal fears. What specific fears do you think are being exploited here? Why are reflections such potent triggers?
Well, think about it. Looking in a mirror, it's a confrontation with the self, right? But it's also not quite the self. It's reversed, slightly alien.
Yeah.
So there's an inherent uncanniness already. The veil seems to latch onto that. Plays on fears of losing oneself, confronting a hidden self, a shadow self maybe.
Okay.
And just the basic mystery of what lies beyond what we can immediately see. The patterns describe the distortions, the compulsive staring, glimpses of other realities. They all seem to prey on these fundamental anxieties about who we are and what reality is.
And this hypothesis about mirrors acting as focal points for the veil's energy, potentially creating temporary rifts between dimensions.
Yes, that's a significant idea put forward.
What are the implications if that's actually happening? Even for brief moments, rifts opening up.
Well, the implications are profound, really. It suggests our reality might be more permeable, more fragile than we think. These temporary rifts, if they exist, could allow for, well, an exchange. Influence flowing through, maybe even entities, between our world and whatever is beyond the veil.
That could explain a lot. The whispers, the visions.
And the disappearances, potentially.
Yeah.
It fundamentally challenges our assumptions about the stability of reality itself.
Let's talk about Michael Alvarez. His account gives us a survivor's perspective, which is valuable.
Extremely valuable, yes.
What details in his experience really stand out as relevant here?
What's striking about Alvarez is the personalization of the contact.
How so?
The other appearing in the mirror wasn't just some random figure. It looked like an older, sadder version of himself.
Oh, creepy.
And it whispered things tailored to him, like, "You deserve more." It highlights that manipulative, targeted nature of the communication. It finds your weak spots.
Right.
And then the physical sensation he describes, the mirror feeling like it was giving way.
Like the barrier was actually breaking down.
Exactly. A blurring, a potential breach between realities. And the fact that his experiences continued, even in other reflective surfaces, the persistent whispers, it just underscores the lasting psychological impact.
Yeah, the fact that he now actively avoids all reflective surfaces, that speaks volumes, doesn't it? The sheer terror.
It really does. It's a stark illustration of the trauma. These are just weird moments you shrug off. They can fundamentally change how you interact with the world.
And the idea that the connection might linger, that's deeply unsettling.
Very. It suggests that once contact is made, maybe the door doesn't fully close.
So the text offers those three hypotheses for the role of reflections: gateway, psychological manipulation, and communication. Based on everything we've looked at, Dr. Carter, Edith, the Harpers, Alvarez, which seems most plausible, or is it likely a mix?
I lean towards a combination. Honestly, each hypothesis seems to have elements supporting it in the narrative.
Okay.
The disappearances, the Harper boy, maybe Edith, they fit the gateway idea, the crossing over.
Right.
The tailored whispers, the exploitation of desires in Alvarez's case, or Mayfield seeing a better life that strongly supports psychological manipulation.
Makes sense.
And the distorted images, the direct messages, even the older version of Alvarez that points towards communication. It's probably not an either situation. Reflective surfaces might serve multiple functions for the veil.
Depends on the situation, perhaps, or the individual.
Possibly, the veil might use whatever aspect is most effective at that moment.
That final thought in the analysis section. Once you see yourself or something else staring back, there's no turning away. That's quite a chilling summary.
It really is. It captures the essence of it, doesn't it? That sense of permanence. Once you've seen behind the curtain, so to speak, even through a reflection.
You can't unsee it.
Precisely. Your perception is altered. The mundane safety is kind of limited. There's always that lingering possibility of something else looking back.
So for you, the learner, listening to this episode of our podcast, Veil of the Unknown, this deep dive into reflections, and the veil reveals this really disturbing pattern. Mirrors, things we see every day, totally innocuous objects. They appear to be these potential conduits, focal points for something well beyond our normal understanding.
And we've seen how varied these encounters can be, haven't we? From, subtle visual glitches or whispers, all the way to potentially life-altering events, leaving deep psychological scars and just so many unanswered questions.
The consistency across time is what gets me. Historical accounts, modern reports, they share these eerie similarities.
It makes it harder to dismiss, doesn't it? It suggests this isn't just, a modern neurosis or folklore. It seems to tap into something deeper.
Deep-seated anxieties about the self, the unknown, the nature of reality itself.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, as you said, about all those unexplained historical accounts. How many might have involved mirrors or reflections?
Yeah. And that central question remains the intent.
Elusive, isn't it?
Is the veil using reflections to lure people in? Is it trying to communicate something? Or is it simply finding cracks, ways to breach our reality?
And each possibility carries, well, profound and pretty disturbing implications for how we view our world.
Well, thank you for bringing this collection of sources together. It's certainly compelling and unsettling.
It definitely gives you pause.
I know I won't look at a mirror quite the same way now. Adds a whole new dimension to just, seeing yourself.
Indeed. And it leaves us and everyone listening with a final thought, doesn't it? Which is,
if something as ordinary as commonplace as a mirror can act as this threshold, what other seemingly mundane parts of our world might also be unexpected doorways to the veil of the unknown?